my journey, try to keep it quick so we can get to everything. But I started coaching when I was 16 in Charlotte at my high school. I helped out with the JV team my junior year, and then went on my senior year helping out with varsity, doing team camps. We had a little AU team that I was a head coach of, which had some friends on, which was fun. And then I went on to we had a student assistant after he graduated. He was a manager at Coastal, Cody Kimball, who's at UNC Charlotte now. He was at Asheville at the time, so I was going to either go to UNC Asheville or App State to be a manager, and decided to go to App. My first year, I wasn't able to do it because I had too many managers. So, I just kept checking in with the coaches, getting back with them, and was able to do it my sophomore year to senior year. And as you guys know, most of y'all, being a manager is, invaluable. It's a lot of hard work, but it's a lot of fun. It was me and one of my best friends, Adam Muse, who's a head coach in North Carolina now at a high school. And just our staff let us do so much. We didn't have any ops, video coordinators, GAs. It was just me and him. So we got to do everything. Our staff was, they've gone on to do great things. It was Coach Capel, Jason Capel at the time. He's at Pittsburgh. Justin Gainey, who's at Marquette. Kellen Sampson at Houston, and Bobby Coomer, who's at Mercer. And they really let us work, which was awesome. So, but you got to do everything from player development, recruiting, helping with scouts, obviously the laundry, getting everything set up. So it was something that, I'll cherish forever, being able to do the manager thing. After that, I had a decision. I had one semester left to go finish my undergrad. So it was either stay at App for the year under the new staff, or it was take a volunteer D2 job at Leeds McRae College, which was about 20 minutes down the road from App State. And all my mentors told me go do that, because if you ever get a chance to just coach or recruit, that's invaluable stuff. So I got to go do that for a year, which was a lot of fun. It was weird being 22 years old and coaching some 23, 24-year-olds. But you got to work, you got to grind, and I was the head coach of the JV team, so got to got experience with practice and yelling at refs and doing all that fun stuff. But after a year there, my thought was, obviously the dream is to be in D1. So I said to myself, if I'm gonna volunteer at D2, I might as well try to go volunteer at D1. So I reached out, I emailed, I looked up all the programs that didn't have ops, didn't have video, GAs, and just kind of reached out to all of them saying, hey, if you need any help, I'm willing to volunteer and help you guys out. I maybe got 3 or 4 responses. And luckily one of the coaches at App, Coach Coomer, was he coached one of the coaches here at Hampton. So he got me in touch with them, and they brought me on. And it was one of those things, I usually tell young coaches 2 things. One, you got to make yourself uncomfortable. So I was at App, 2 hours from my home in Charlotte, bunch of buddies, everything there, to go to Hampton, which is a HBCU, 6 hours away, knew nothing about it. So it was kind of one of those things where, I took a leap of faith and was able to, come up here as a GA. And they said, the other thing I always tell people, you got to make sacrifices. So, when everybody asks me, what are some things, what can I do to get in the game? I'll always throw out, you got to sacrifice, and the word sacrifice, the word volunteer. And you really, throwing those 2 words out, you can really get a feel for if people want it. And so I came up here as a GA, wasn't expecting anything. I got lucky enough that Coach Joyner, the head coach, he got my school paid for. He got me a little stipend, which is about $300 a month. But, obviously that doesn't cover everything. So I worked 3rd shift stocking shelves at Harris Teeter, which is a grocery store. If if anybody's not familiar. And so I worked from 10 p.m. to 3, sometimes 4 a.m. Just stocking shelves, trying to, make ends meet. Sometimes it was tough because it was in the fall, so you got 6 a.m. practices. So you work until 3, 4, going home, sleeping for an hour. And like I said, I was the only person, GA or managers, that we had. So I was going to set up all the gym, doing all that stuff. So, but it's a humbling experience to keep yourself grounded when you do stuff like that. And again, at the end of the day, you want to do something you love. So they say you got to make some sacrifices along the way. But the GA year was fun. They let me do a lot, and I think, obviously, coach trusted me enough. After my first year as a GA, he promoted me to assistant when I was 23. So I definitely got blessed with that opportunity, and just finished my 4th year as an assistant, 5th overall here. So that's kind of my journey. And so obviously I've gotten lucky, and I've never didn't play high level basketball. Don't have no name behind me. So like I said, as most of us managers do or have. So it's just, like I said, it's about what you love, and you always need to make those sacrifices. And if you want to do this thing, go all in on it. But I will. So I got a little PowerPoint that I put together. See if I can share this, because X's and O's are good. Obviously a lot of this stuff has been X's and O's, and but I also think that X's and O's are 5% of what I think college coaches actually might do. It's everything else. It's the recruiting. It's dealing with people on campus, players. So just some tidbits that I might have if I can figure out how to share this real quick. Can everybody see this? You good?
Yep.
All right. Let's see. All right. So let's see. All right. We good now, Jake? Everybody can see it? You good?
Yeah, we good.
All right. So one thing I'm big on is quotes. When I do my scout reports, I always put a quote at the end before we head out, and the guys love it, and it kind of helps them lock in. So first quote is something that means a lot, and people have said it different ways, but greatness costs what it costs. And this is something that we used to have a pastor come in and speak to us at App before our pregame meals, and this is something that he brought. And the story behind it was obviously the picture of the Rolls Royce. Is Rolls Royce is considered a great car, but you never see any ads or discounts or sales on a Rolls Royce. You might see it on some other cars. We got July 4th sale, whatever the case may be, but you never see it on a Rolls Royce, because if you want that car, you have to pay what that price is. So that's just a little quote that has stuck with me. I have it in my office. And I think I always look at it, because you got to make those sacrifices, like I was saying. A couple things I'll talk about, just little things. Like I said, I'm young. I'm still learning like everybody else. Obviously, recruitment is a big part of the game. But one thing, as you go, you need to find out who fits best with your head coach, and it's just more. Obviously, he can tell you some parts, but you gotta just get a feel for him. Like my head coach, he is someone that likes to take the kids that have chips on their shoulders, that might not have a lot, that might have some little baggage to them, because he grew up in that environment and did group homes, so he can relate to those kids more. So like I say, you want to figure out obviously who fits your head coach best. The other thing, I was talking to someone, really is about who fits the school. And not more academics, but just the environment. You should have a pulse on the environment of the school. Like Hampton, for example, we have this thing that we call Hamptonize. Like if you know anything about HBCUs or Hampton, like it's a lot of fun. Like I said, the girl to guy ratio is crazy. So every time I talk to a recruit, I always ask them if they got a girlfriend, because they might not make it here if that's the case. But like, so you got to know, because as much as you want the kids to come to the school, you also don't want to be chasing them around because they're caught up in all this stuff. So that's one thing that me and one of my mentors talked about. The other big thing is keeping it 100. They say nowadays with all these transfers, one big thing our head coach is big on is, we're not the school that's gonna roll out red carpets for visits. We're gonna show you a day in the life of Hampton, so you can get a feel for what it's like. And obviously when you go through the process, we say the good and the bad. We're not just gonna say all the good, because when you get to that school, you don't want to have a kid calling back home saying, "Hey, they didn't tell me about this." And this is the last point that I put, is something I've just been thinking about, and I didn't do it when I was a manager, but it might be something that could help people and good for y'all, is recruiting contacts. And I would start now, especially if people are like, I'll use me from Charlotte. At the time of app, if I was talking to other coaches around the state of North Carolina, AAU coaches, just trying to, hey, can I come watch practice? Can I do this? Just ways to expand your recruiting network. And then the other big thing, which has been huge for me here at Hampton, is, I'll use Jake at Clemson. There's people who played at your school that are now, running AAU programs or coaching somewhere. So you have, even though you might not know them, you have that same similarities, and so you can hit them up, saying, hey, I'm Matt, I'm an assistant at Hampton or manager at Clemson. Like, I know you played here, like, and you can just chop it up that way. That's one thing I wish I would have done more, that could help you guys in the long run when you get assistant jobs. Next thing is developing your value. And this is something I've been thinking about a lot, especially as a manager. You guys are always in the gym with the guys. It might just be more rebounding and stuff, but one thing I've got accustomed to is, if you're in the gym with them, and sometimes it's late at night, no coaches in there, ask them to work out. Like, hey, can I put you through some drills? Can I do this? Obviously, you got to have that plan, so when you're ready to do it, you know what you want to do with the workout. But I think a lot of kids nowadays don't want, they just don't get in the gym by themselves. They want people around to tell them, what to do, and kind of put them through a workout. And even if it's not your best players, I would put the walk-ons through a workout. They always want to do stuff. So putting them through work, and that just helps you guys with getting your player development, getting your language and your speaking out to articulate what you want to do on the court. So that's one thing I would recommend. Practicing scouts. This is something that was huge for me. Like I said, at app, our coaches allowed us to do a lot. So one of them, Coach Gainey, who's at Marquette now, he allowed me to help him out with the scouts. He would say, hey, go form your scout. This is my scout we're playing, the Citadel. Do your scout. We'll get together. We'll compare, and I'll help you that way. I might see something that Coach Gainey didn't see. So it's helping him out too. So if you guys ever have a chance, you got the tools, I'm sure, to watch the film, to work on scouts, because that's something I take pride in now as an assistant, is the scout report and being able to, develop a plan to stop the other team. And I wouldn't have been able to do it without my time as a manager and just getting that experience. Next thing, being creative. I think you guys can do different things around the office to help the program. Like I said, one thing I did when I was a GA was, it's something so simple, but our head coach loved it. And you might not, we didn't have any nameplates on the doors. So I got everybody, I got the price, got with everybody, got them nameplates for their office doors. And, he was thrilled about it. Like I said, just little things that you can do, Photoshop, anything to help, as many minds as you can. And then the last thing is something that, I did, I hope I did a lot of app. I know I did it here, but a simple question: do you need anything? So when you guys walk into the office, when you walk into the office, when you're leaving, or just throughout, just, hit all the coaches, peek your head in, hey, do you need anything? You need help with anything? It's something that 9 times out of 10, they'll be like, no, I'm good. Hey, coach, I'm going to class. Do you need anything before I leave? No, I'm good. Enjoy your time. But it's a simple question, but they'll get to feel that, you're invested in helping them. So when the time comes, they need anything, to be like, oh, like Matt's looking to help. I can trust him. And I think that might have helped me a little bit here at Hampton as a GA. Just always when I walk by a coach's office, and he's, super laid back, but it was always, hey, do you need anything? So I think he felt trust with me, knowing that I got his back and willing to help him. So that's just one thing, I think something small, but could go a long way. Last little bit I got is, building relationships and knowledge. Obviously, my favorite part was camps. Obviously, you can't do it right now, but always work as many camps as you can. My favorite was Clemson camp. I got a lot of friends that are now, in this business, who work camps with me that I can call and lean on for different things. The other big thing, I don't think a lot of people do it as much. I could be wrong, but it's going to other schools, practices, and workouts, and that's not limiting to D1s. Go to high schools. There's a great high school coaches out there, JUCOs, NAIAs, D2s, wherever you get a chance. Like when you're around, back home or even at the school, most places have schools within driving distance, so you can get out and look at workouts, and that's a way to expand your knowledge and get to meet those coaches. What the next thing is, something that, my whole thing as when I was manager, which, I've completely adjusted, was, hey, let me get to the highest level. Let me make the most money. Like, no, I just didn't know anything else. But now being here at Hampton, coach lets me do so much, and it's about quality of life. And like, I think you need to have, obviously knowing a lot of people is good, but having that small circle you can lean on. Like, so the coaches at app that I was with, a couple coaches here, I got my mentors, and I think they will help you. If you, let's just say you have 5 to 10, I think those 5 to 10 people who actually know you and know what you're about can help you more than knowing 150 just coaches, just, hey, like they know my name or know my face. Next thing is be 2 feet in. Obviously, everybody hears that all the time, but it's so true. You can definitely get, caught up and complacent. And, I being honest, I have at points. But like I said, the best job you have is the one you're in, and you got to make the most out of it. Then the last thing, again, something I would suggest is planning now. They said you have opportunities where you're doing these Zoom calls, and develop your philosophy, develop your, plays, what have that book that if you got an interview that you can, give to, ADs or something at the drop of a hat. And obviously you can tweak it throughout the years, but that's something I wish I would have done better. I'm doing now, obviously, a lot of coaches are, but when you have this time, start planning now. So then the last thing, last little quote, let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. And that's just something, like I said, I've, it's a long journey. So as long as you guys are doing good, doing what you need to do, helping others, everything will come twofold. So, but I will now, let me see if I can hop into this video. Can you see it?
Yep.
All right. So again, I put a little video together of us. We're a little bit different from some teams. We don't really have, we got different sets, we got different philosophies, but we're not a team that is running, a lot of different stuff. We'll have 1 or 2 actions with different options, and coach is big on letting our guys rock out. He wants guys, like I talked about, going back to the recruit. He wants guys that attack. if you're not willing to go score or get a basket, it's hard. It's hard here because we play to attack. We were 31st in the country this year in scoring. We're always high up there, so we put up a lot of points. Unfortunately, we don't play a lot of defense, which we need to work on. But like I said, we look to attack. So a couple of these, I got a couple plays in here that we got with different options that I'll show you and kind of walk through it. Like I said, if you got any questions, just stop me and I'll try to answer it for you. And hopefully it's not too choppy. I got to do, hold on. You got to do that optimize. Hold on 1 second. And of course, it cut out. It's going to lag if I don't. I got to hit that, right, Jake? The optimize.
Optimize share, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Computer sound might help too.
Okay. Hold on 1 second. Even though I'm young, I'm not the most technologically savvy person. All right. I think I got it. I know it's a little choppy, so I apologize. If it's too choppy, let me know. All right, so first little action we got, this is a play. We want to get our guys attacking downhill. This is something that we run to get some movement, and we want to get our guys into a ball screen. So it's going to start, like I said, sometimes we don't have the best spacing or pace. And one thing, if you watch us, if you see all our stuff is kind of set up high, which is kind of by design because it leaves our guys the ability to attack and have that spacing. So we got a little back door here. This number 2 is the 3rd leading scorer in the country. He finished his career with 2,700 points. He's supposed to come and look to attack quick. Again, that forces the defense to react, and then we can get our action. So he stops a little bit. We got then. Like I said, we're big on. Like I said, everybody's kind of spaced out a little bit. We're big on making the extra pass. So we try to teach our guys, and something we do in workouts, player development stuff, that you're always looking, for the next play. Read the defense, so his eyes are up. You should be knowing what the next play is. So he drives. We get the kick, and we make the extra pass for the shot. This is another one of our favorite plays, a little shuffle play. Again, we're bringing everybody over the top, trying to set little screens, just some dummy action. One thing we're big on, again, I'm sorry if I ramble a little bit. Coach likes mismatches, and we're not afraid to run the same play over and over and over because we have so many different options and look for mismatches. So I said, we're looking here, we're going to run this play all the way through. As you come off a ball screen, we get the throwback. So to kind of, this is where scouting comes in, where we can kind of develop. So number 2 is the 3rd leading scorer in the country, and number 14 is the 8th leading scorer in the country. So we had 2 of the top 10 scorers in the country on the same. He averaged 25, and Ben 14 averaged 22. So like I said, obviously they're all focused on them. So this catching it, there's so many options. There's a clip in a little bit where we teach them to read different things. Obviously, if they're locking and trail, you can curl and we can pop back. If they go under, you can get the shot. But here we catching it and we want to go right into a ball screen because it forces this big guy to not only, if he doesn't hedge out, we got a shot, but now he's got to defend as well. So we get the roll, and obviously they're tagging up here to worry about him, and we got a little roll and replace action for a shot. So this is where I say we're big on mismatch. I know this is different clips, but as you saw, Number 3 just hit 2 threes. So now we're looking to get him the ball. So we'll put different, everybody's interchangeable. We'll put different guys, but for this particular play, if we want to get him a ISO or any action, we'll put him in this position to come off the shuffle screen. So again, same play. And again, if you see here when I was watching, number 2 kind of this defender kind of peaks just a little bit. So we just ran that same action. He's here and it falls asleep a little bit. And like I said, we're trying to get number 3 the ball right for a little post up action right there. So again, a lot of our stuff is, you can do multiple things and little quick things. And like I said, we're looking to score quick. This is us in transition. We want to pitch the ball ahead any chance we get, but we also, coach, we're big on setting a drag screen in transition. Okay, so when we get the ball ahead, it forces, if you watch the defense, it forces them all to flock towards the ball. You got 5 guys sitting here flocking towards the ball. Now, as soon as they feel like they got the ball corralled and they start spacing out, we're coming in for a drag screen. So we get the drag screen. Again, everything is up high. It leaves all this space down here. We're getting to the corner, as most people are taught. This guy kind of cheats out here, right into the drag screen or basket. So we're big on drag screens in transition. Another little setup, I said, is a double ball screen set where you can do multiple different things. We'll go stagger away. But again, everything, like I said, I know I said a lot, but we want to keep everything as high as possible to leave space. We're looking for a shot here. We want 14 to catch the ball right there. In my opinion, you want to catch it as close to the basket as you can. He has a tendency to leak out a little bit, so the pass should be going in right there. This is number 2, the scorer. This is probably his best screen he's set his whole career. And again, we want to get the ball in closer, but at the same point, we got the same action. So this is that same shuffle play I was showing you earlier. This is the handoff. If you remember them coming off, number 2 came off a little slow. So you'll see he's over here now coming off the ball screen. When he attacks hard, it forces the defense to react quicker. So we got the handoff to a backdoor, and he's attacking hard, which forces the big guy to help up. So this guy, when he attacks so hard, there's a little confusion here. We didn't even have to really set a screen here because he's attacking. Again, that's what we want. When you get the ball, your first job, we want you to go attack. We want you to get to the basket. We were the number 1 team in the country in free throw attempts this year, 2nd in makes. So again, we want everything high so we can attack and coming off hard. So he attacks, we get the roll, we get the finish. This is the same shuffle play. The big thing we do when this play, you got the shooter, whoever you want coming off the down screen is the guy opposite the ball. So the first pass will go to the wing, whoever you want coming off for the possible post up. So we get the action here coming over top, swing it, and this is where, like I said, if he at this point, this guy is going to be super tight to the number 2. So we teach our guys, like I said, if he's super tight and you feel like you can't get it, we'll keep curling around, and then I'll show you. So he was super tight for a second. So he's looking to curl, but when he notices he go under, we'll pop back for a shot. But if he continues to curl, what we like to do, 14 will pop back up here, and he might shoot the 3, or everybody's on this side. He can drive it hard and either make the play to the rim or kick it out for the shooter here. So we'll run it. He ends up shooting the gap. And he just steps back for the 3. This is something, as I put this in again, this is a double ball screen. We're trying to clear a side. Obviously, as you'll see, we do an awful job of getting open. One thing we try to teach, we do an awful job right here. But on offense, you got to demand your spot. You got to demand where you want to catch it. We get pushed off a little bit too far here. And then we're coming into our screen. The big thing that we did, and this is this game. This is the semifinals of the Big South. This is number 1 team, Radford. We were the 5th seed. They're obviously getting double number 2. We invited the double team. We wanted the double team to come. If we can set the screen low enough, he's got all this room here in the back court to operate. So it might be something that people aren't accustomed to. But we invited a double team because then you can play 4-on-3 after that.
Hey, Coach, I don't want to interrupt, but I know we got Nate. If you want to unmute yourself and ask your question, go ahead.
So, on the last clip that you were showing, if they double off the dribble handoff, what are you doing? Are you throwing back or what?
With this play or the previous one?
Yeah. So the previous one where you had the dribble handoff. So if they double off of that, are you just going back to 1 or what?
Yeah. So
Off that handoff right there.
Yeah, right here. So we'll teach our guys, and there's a clip that shows it better. We want our guys to kind of raise up sometimes to keep the space. So we got in this situation, number 4 is supposed to get out. So you got when the dribble comes, this is where he's got to read who is gonna take the roll man. Does that make sense? So if he comes off here and he doesn't hit the roll man, which he does, you can easily throw it back to number 3 because this defender is starting to creep in. And then we'll throw it back. We'll hit a throwback to 3 for hopefully a shot or possibly a post up for 14. Does that answer your question?
Got it.
I can't hear you too well. Is that good?
I think he said yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. This is the shuffle play. So this is a double ball screen again. So this is a play we put in last year against Radford too, and it's really it leaves this whole side is open for whoever we want to come off to attack. Again, we're inviting the double team. So he clears all 3 of these guys. So the play is coming off the double ball screen. The first man is usually the 4-man. He's popping usually to the top of the key. The 5-man is rolling. So 4-man's popping, and they got 3 guys guarding the ball. And this is where, like I said, we kind of teach to play a little bit higher in this scenario. So you got a shot right there. And this is, if 11 was to stay down where he was, which is probably right in line with the coach, this allows this defender who's on the weak side to guard 2, if that makes sense to everybody. But we want him to raise up. So he was in line with the coach, and now he's all the way up here. So this forces this guy to make a decision. If he stayed back, we can quick swing to 11 for a shot. But what he does, he comes up, which leaves number 3 wide open. And he's reading that backside. Again, he smokes the layup. But this is a play that's been really successful for us, just if they don't do a good job on the double ball screen, this whole side is open to attack. But again, we want this guy to raise up. And then again, one thing we teach when you catch the ball, and I'm sure most people teach it, always look on the rim. So you can see, one, where you're shooting because we're looking to score. And two, you can see everybody through your vision and you're reading the backside guys. So he reads this guy who comes up, and then you can make that pass to the corner. So this is a play we put in this year, and this is where it's funny because as I was watching earlier, I'm big on scouting, so I love when I can get play calls of other teams and really tell our guys what's going on. But this is a little scissor. We'll run this play for someone who's hot looking for a three. There's different options out of it. So number 4 just hit, probably 2 threes, I believe. So we're running this for him. So whoever you want to get the shot is the guy that's getting the ball first. So we'll get a little scissor action here coming off. And this is where I was saying the coach knows what play is coming. So he's trying to tell the guys what's going on. And this is where this whole backside is wide open. So we want to rip it. And then we want to set a little hammer screen for a 3 in the corner. So I'll let it run. So number 2 is supposed to rip it and go right away, attacking bad closeouts. He kind of holds it a little bit. But we still get what we want. We get the screen on the back for a shot. And again, there's different options out of it. So, and I'll go through the options. So obviously the first option is to score the ball. If you can get by this guy and maybe this guy doesn't help, we can get a layup. The next option is the hammer screen to the corner, which we get. Another thing we can get is if everybody goes, and there's a clip later of them ball watching, this guy can come right down the middle of the floor for a dump down. And then finally, this guy is supposed to go over to the corner for a kickback, throwback if we get in trouble. So again, we get the screen, he gets a shot. And this is where I tell you guys, and I kind of learned this. You can't be afraid to always run we run the same play over and over, especially if it works. Like we got so many options. If you have a simple play with different options and your guys know how to read, you can get a lot of different stuff off of it. So this is literally the next play, the very next play. Again, you can see the coach over here screaming what's going on. We get the same exact action. Same thing worked. And if you watch the coach, he gets upset. Like, what is going on? Again, just from the point of attacking. If this guy attacks hard, it forces everybody to go help, and we get the shot over there in the corner.
Megan, you can go. Oh, sorry.
Yep.
Sorry. Someone has a question. Megan, you can go ahead. Sorry, coach.
No, you're good.
Hi. Sorry, my name is Megan. I just have a quick question.
Yep.
How would you recommend teaching like reading and reacting to the defense? Like I know you said you recruit guys who are able to attack, but
yeah. So I think it's through player development and just doing different scenarios. Like I said, one thing I've been working with our guys, like, driving kicks, if you're out there, you can stand in one corner, if you help over, they got to make the pass. If you stay out, they got to drive, different ways like that. But one thing I learned and listened to, I was listening to something Steve Nash was doing, and it was mainly off ball screen stuff. But his thing was he needed to get a little bit of separation. So now you're not even worried about your defender. If you can attack and beat your defender, now you're worried about the other backline guys, if that makes sense. But like I said, one thing we try to do is if you can implement somehow, and it's just different scenarios and reps on guarding them in the individual development, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
Yep. Does that answer your question a little bit? So like I said, we'll show this one more time. So this is the same play with a different option. Again, this is something like Megan was just saying, it is reading. So what we'll do, we might put, a coach or something here. If he helps over, you've got to make the right play. Whether this guy is over here, it's a little bit harder. Like I said, we don't have as much help as some people, so you got to be a little bit creative. I think it's just putting them in different, breaking down whatever play you're trying to get to do it. And it's just, simulation and trying to get the guys to realize, or girls to realize, what's going on as best they can. So again, this is the same exact play, but now we're getting the drop down to the big, and he misses, but we clean it up. So again, that's the option. We actually talked about them doing this in the huddle. I-4 ends up being open, but everybody is ball watching, and the big kind of come right down to the middle of the lane and get the pass. And this is the last play, and I'll show, like I said, it's a couple clips, it's different options. Something simple. I saw this. Dennis Smith and NC State did it against Duke when they beat them at Duke. They ran this play 3 times in a row at the end of the game and got different options. And one thing, like, again, when I was a manager, it's sometimes hard, but like that's where, just trying different things. So our head coach allows me to do a lot, especially with the offense. So you should be always trying to plan and have plays. So in practice, I'll have a couple plays every practice that when we play, we get up and down a lot and trying to simulate different things. So I'll have different plays, with my team, I'll draw it up to see if it works. And that's one way it's been successful for us. Because when you put in a play, your team knows what's coming. So it kind of doesn't work that way. So we like to do it on the fly. So like I said, always have, be ready to put in a play, to try. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And that will only help you with in the game situations. And, you have to drop a play. You're always prepared and you know what you want to do. So this play, again, a lot of people run it, but it's something so simple. So we want the shooter here, and then we want these guys, they're supposed to be in the corners. He goes off a little too early. They're supposed to be dead in the corners. Again, we're biting the double team. They'll stay with him as long as he's dribbling. So that's why we give all that space here. We get to roll. So the play is a back screen, first option, back screen for possible lob. If not, this guy's stepping up to the top of the key for a shot. So he rolls. And now this is where, again, back to keeping everything high. And if you're opposite the ball, we want you to kind of leak towards the basketball. Staying in the corner does no good because you're not an option. So he goes off. As number 3 comes up, that forces this guy to stick with him. All right. If he didn't stick with him, we might have a little skip pass or shot. But he sticks with him, which leaves the big guy wide open. Again, this is the semifinals. We ran this play pretty much the whole second half, just exploiting the different options. So he rejects it here. Again, this is where, Megan was talking about reading. If you can get by this guy, now all you're worried about is these 2 guys. If he stays out, you might have a layup. If he helps in, you got a pass here. Or if this guy helps in, you might have a pass. So our point guard, Jermaine, does a good job here of attacking. This guy helps over. We throw the pass, knocks in the shot. So, and this is where, in my opinion, where you run the same play, now the defense, you got to be very disciplined in knowing what you want to give up. As you start making shots, the defense starts trying to guard it different. So again, this is the exact same play. He doesn't come off really to attack, but with the roll man, he's helping there. It allows for, like, because if you remember, this guy stayed here last time, so the roll was wide open. And every time you want to look at the rim. So this is where we say inviting the double team. Now you're playing 3-on-2. Greg, this guy could have passed it here, could have made the extra pass, but he's wide open for the shot. Knocks it in. Again, the same play. We ran this the whole time. He's coming off the screen now. This is where the defense is starting to cheat and think. So if you remember last time, this guy was in the corner. He helped in, and we kicked it out for a 3. Now he's worried, so he starts cheating out. And we just made the 3 at the top of the key, so now they're glued to this guy too. And that leaves the roll wide open. So again, they're worried about every little dip. They stay glued, he stays out. We get the layup.
Hey, Coach, I got a question.
Yep.
2, actually. So my first question would be, what are you doing on this play if they're switching 1 through 5?
If they're switching 1 through 5, we'll probably, again, we try to keep as much motion as possible. And one thing I'll actually, try to put in this year, because I was listening to something, I forget, they called it a like rodeo pass or something, throwing it back to the guard and attacking. But we're gonna probably go dribble handoff or look for a back door. Like I said, most of the teams did switch 1 through 5. If we can get it to the top of the key here, most of our stuff would end in a back door to a dribble handoff, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. My second question, I really like what you're doing, and I understand that you like everything's a read pretty much. For ATOs, are you guys drawing up like one of your plays that you're accustomed to and looking for a certain read, or is it just you're just drawing up a play?
A little bit of both. Like I said, as I expand, being able, I thought about doing different things this year, but we'll pretty much, like I said, that hammer play is something we really just ran after timeouts. Then also there was a play, the shuffle play, where we got all the way to the end with the ball screen and roll replace. That's something we'll say, hey, we're running this play. Let's get to the end. Run it all the way through so we can get that action. There are some times where we will, like I said, coach lets me do a lot, so where I'll have plays and kind of draw it up. But most of the time we're just kind of telling the guys, hey, this is what play we want to run. This is what we're like. If you remember the hammer play where we got the lob, we told them that's what we were looking for. So it's a little bit of both, but mainly it's just going through our plays and, tell them this is the option we're looking for, if that answers your question.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So again, this is again the same play. So now, like I said, everybody's worried about everything. If this guy doesn't help in, we get the shot. But luckily he helps in. Again, this is where you read it, you kick it out for the 3. So again, that is I'm gonna get back to it. That is something we like, where coach has been really good at, running the exact same plays over and over until they can stop us. So it's something that, I might not have thought of earlier, but, unless they stop us, we're not afraid to continue to run the same play and look. He wants to look for mismatches at the end of the day. He said he wants to be like not the Warriors, the Rockets, where you move the ball around, look for the mismatch. So, but I hope that helped a little bit. like I said, just different little actions you can do. And I think the biggest thing that, I take away from it is how high we play, versus, some people want to, be right at there, but we play high so we can look to make attacks at the rim. So.
If anyone has any questions, we can open up for questions now.
Yeah, I must have answered them all good.
I got a question.
Okay, good.
So my name's Dakota. I'm a student coach at an NAIA school in Michigan. My question is, how do you define success, and how has that definition changed through being a manager and a volunteer and now an assistant?
To me, it's changed. Like I said, at one point I was always like, get to the most money, make the most, like, be a high major coach. But as I've grown, it's always been, I want what's best for the guys. If their success is something, like I said, we've had guys that have gone on to, get drafted in the G League, or, we had a kid who just graduated who's now a father. I think my success is based off theirs. I know it's probably cliche. Like I said, one thing I enjoy is being young, I got a good relationship with them. So they'll always call me, or even we're trying to implement a thing where they're coming back to campus, and especially the guys that are pros now, where they're set up in, a group of our current guys. So they're working out and showing them what it's like to be a pro. Like I said, and it's just, coaching is fun to me. Like I said, I enjoy the scout part. So that's something I might judge success on. But it's something that you got to kind of find. And like I said, I think coaching isn't as hard as it needs to be. It's about fun, and it's for the kid. I love it. So that's kind of my success, I guess.
Thank you.
I'll ask a question.
Well, go ahead,
Oh,
John.
go ahead, Jake. No, you good.
Jonathan, it's all you. I already asked
All right.
two.
Okay. Obviously being at HBCU, now you see the influx of popularity with everything going on. More kids are starting to look at HBCUs. Before everything happened, what were kind of the biggest misconceptions that kids that were recruits, that quote unquote are high major kids or mid major kids, what do you find having to kind of explain to those kids about, HBCU basketball?
I think, when I first got up here, we were in the MEAC conference, which is the all HBCU conference. And now we're in the Big South. We just finished our second year. Even when I was at the D2, I would put any of my D2 guards up against, my guards at App. I said, I think the biggest difference in D2, D1 is just the bigs. If you're 6'7" and can walk in a straight line, you're probably going, D1. But I think it's just, the hard part is, sometimes the facilities, which I think we got a nice arena. We got some nice things that we can do here. But the hardest part is getting them to, I guess, accept and see, like, they see HBCU, they might be shunned off, but a lot of people, when they come to our campus, they're like, dang, I didn't know it was this nice. And then obviously, the winning, the last 4 out of the last 6 years, we played in our conference championship game, winning 2 of them. So it's something that, we try to tell people, and it's hard. Like, it's obviously now, with everybody saying, I want to go to HBCU or look at it, made it a little bit easier. Whether the kids will do it, that's the different, I talk for a different time. But the biggest thing I think in HBCUs, in my opinion, versus App, and I use App because that's where I went, is the alumni. I think the alumni HBCUs, people care so much. I wouldn't say more, but they care about the heritage, the traditions. So just that's probably one of our biggest recruiting tools is, if you get a degree from Hampton, it means a lot more than maybe some other places. So,
Coach, So just to build off of Megan's question earlier, with the whole read and react, I noticed a lot of 3-point shots and all that stuff. How much does player development dictate what you guys do? Like, you understand, like, you have a base of what your players are, but how much are you working on player development?
Oh, we're huge on player development. We're always in the gym. And I think that's one thing, like I said, our coach lets our guys rock out. And that's another big recruiting tool that you come here and they say our point guards the last 6 years all average over 16 points. And like I said, we score a lot. So coach it as long as you're working on it. You know, he's kind of flexible. You know, if we got our 7-footer out there jacking threes, you know, that might not bode well. But we are big on player development, and it's more, you know, I've been around some coaches who do it based off their offense, but we kind of do it based off everything. You know, we're just out there, you know, putting them through different workouts. Obviously, one thing we've done is with player development is having a plan, like a base, and then you just build on. So like each week, you know, maybe 2 days I'm working strictly on, you know, ball screen throwbacks. Then, you know, you ball screen throwback, look to attack, you know, different things like that. But we're big on player development and getting them guys to be confident in what they do, because we do like to attack.
Awesome. Anyone else got more questions?
I'll ask another one. Now that you've been multiple years as an assistant coach at the D1, or even just in general in your coaching profession, what are your core values that you've been able to develop as a coach?
I think, and this is part, like you said, this is where it goes back to me, you know, planning a little bit better. Like I said, I think I've come and, you know, our coaches, you know, he was a D2 guy too. So just like the biggest thing is probably humbleness. And you don't, and when I first got up here, you know, being a manager, you guys know that, you know, you're doing a lot of the dirty work. But our head coach does some laundry. Our associate head coach did some laundry. Like, you got to realize that, you know, basketball is fun, and like I said, it's about the kids. So humbleness would be one, and then the other one that I've really kind of, you know, took to is love. Like, loving what you do, obviously. Like, I don't think I work ever. And then just loving the people you're around. And that was my quote in the championship. I had to scout for the championship game. I just put love on the board. You know, love the highs, love the lows, love the process, love the, you know, the bad calls. And you gotta love everything, because at the end of the day, like I said, it's fun. Like I said, one quick story. One of my favorite memories was sitting after practice one day, just on the table with some of the older guys, just chalking it up, laughing at funny stories. So I say I think people sometimes take the coaching thing a little bit too serious, because it's about the kids, and it's about, I mean, not many people get to do what we do. So like I said, I think if people kind of embrace it and obviously make those sacrifices and work, the sky's the limit. So I hope that kind of answers your question.
I have a question also, kind of wondering about your guys' like non-conference philosophy. Like, when you're scheduling non-con games, like, is there a specific?
Yeah, it's the worst. Whenever you guys get into coaching, the other piece of advice: never get involved in scheduling, because it is but so us here, you know, even when we were in the MEAC, to where Hampton has like a stigma of being, you know, good. They don't want to play us. So that's kind of been the hard part. But we don't really have, we'll play anybody. You know, we have some teams we'll play every year. Like, we play William and Mary, who's 30 minutes up the road. Now that we're out of the MEAC, we play Howard and Norfolk State, who are our big rivals. But I think as far as, you know, we want to play those teams. We want to get our guys opportunities to, you know, be in front of, you know, big crowds and, you know, better competition. But like I said, schedule is hard. But like I said, we try to, in the other day, we try to go different places. Like this year we went to San Francisco. And the cool part about, which I said, I go back to the fun part, our GA's god brother is Steph. So and Chris Paul's brother went to Hampton. So we actually went out when we were in San Francisco, the Warriors were playing the Thunder. So they got us tickets, and we had a 12 o'clock game the next day, which most coaches, their curfew might be 9, 10. You got an early game. We were out till probably 12:30, 1 a.m. because they brought us back into the locker room after the game, and the guys got to meet all the players. And like I said, it's things like that are some of them guys have never been to an NBA game. So it's things like that. But as far as scheduling, it's difficult being, a little bit of a better low major. But we're up for anybody, I guess.
Thank you.
Don't get into scheduling. Just the word.
Coach,
Anybody else have? Oh, go ahead.
Thank you. Coach, going back to your plays, do you ever have to worry about like load management and like how many guys do you normally play on your roster?
Nah, not really, because our guys are so competitive. They never want to come out. Like I said, number 2, who scored 2,700 points. It was hard to take him out of the game. But we don't worry about it too much. Hopefully they're young enough to play. But we'll try to play 8 to 9, maybe 10. And then that's just based off, how the game's going. We dealt with some injuries this year, so we had to change. And that's the other thing. I think if you guys get into coaching, everybody's in coaching, but at a lower level, you got to recruit and change your style and philosophy almost every year. Like you said, maybe UVA and some other high majors just really recruit to that. But like I said, with us, we kind of change it up. So this year, the kid that averaged 22, he was 6'5" center. But we try to, like I said, we play fast. So we do have some substitution patterns. But for the most part, coach is going to let them guys, rock out. He's very player driven. So if they're tired, they'll let them know. And then when they're ready to go back in, they'll let us know and they'll go in. So, but as far as load management, not really, which we probably should have because we were a little injured this year, but not too bad.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Coach, how you doing on time?
Whenever you guys are, I got nothing to do.
Okay, great.
So, and again, like I said, I think, like I said, like I always say, sacrifice. I think if people want to get into it, any chance you get to coach, I say even going back with camp, like sometimes the little kids are tough, to deal with it, as most people know. But if you get a chance to, try different things in camp, try different things, wherever you can, because it's all about getting reps. And I think obviously I was lucky enough to be where I'm at. But it's like I tell people, just go somewhere. That's why all my mentors go. That's why I took the volunteer job. Go somewhere and coach. Because at the end of the day, that's the best part, is getting out there and like I said, just trying different things, trying coaching. So and I deal with that with some of the guys that are with us that are looking to get in. Like y'all gotta be able to make sacrifices and go out and get it. So.
We have any more questions?
I have one quick one. I guess from the whole try it perspective, over the years, how have you gained the respect of your players, like coming up? Like, have you just how have you I guess, how have you showed them the respect and kind of gotten it back in the same vein?
Yeah, I think for me, obviously, being young, it was kind of like, even when I was the GA, they respected me, but it was also that. And then when I became an assistant, that first year, it was pretty much the same guys. So it was a little hesitant. But once they know, like the biggest thing is getting in the gym with them, because that's what they want to do. So if you can get in the gym with them, if you can show them, you care about them, and then like I said, we used to have meetings all the time. Like people like you might look at Matt some type of way, but for real, like he's the one that's looking out for you. And you got to keep that balance between what you tell your head coach. Like I struggle. I had to do something today. It's like sometimes you gotta keep things from them if you can handle it to develop their trust. But the other big thing I did is I always had them over my house. I had little cookouts. I wasn't feeding all 15 guys at the same time, but I'll take a couple guys here and there. But I think like I said, it's natural if you show them. So one thing that just made me think of, what I do with my workouts, I'll ask them, hey, what do you want to do? What are you trying to do today? And like I say, if you get a chance to work out guys, like have your plan, but ask them their input, because then they feel involved. And you kind of get more stuff done, and they might get closer to you that way. So that's one thing you might be able to do is to ask them, hey, what do you want to do? What do you want to do today? So that might help.
Anybody else? All right, perfect. Well, thanks, Coach, for being on tonight and taking some time to